All right, we've got our stormy weather ahead. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Now we're going to track the activity out today. In this unsettled weather pattern, we've got the waves of storms possible.
We've got our stormy weather.
We'll be watching the morning commute hours specifically for Wednesday and Thursday morning. We're tracking all the latest updates right now in this live video. Good morning. Well, now afternoon, actually, Coastal Bend. I'm meteorologist Carly Smith. Your time now is 12:01 p.m. on this Tuesday, and we are looking at a chance for some strong, possibly even severe thunderstorms moving into the Coastal Bend later on, and we've got some rain. That's the big storyline, is the hill country specifically getting in on some rain. Now, this is not drought-ending rain by any means, but it is going to help with some of the worst drought conditions in the Lone Star State. You can see Texas is actually the target zone for the heaviest rainfall through this week between today and Saturday. And here's why. Here's the setup. We have an area of low pressure, or a trough, that is setting up. It's kind of a cutoff low from the main jet stream, but it's really setting up between two areas of high pressure is what it's doing. So we have our high that's over the northern Mexico, and we have a high over Florida. And in between those two areas of high pressure, there's this trough that is formed. And this is a little bit of a blocking pattern, which means we're going to be under the influence of this trough between now and really Saturday or Sunday into next week. So we'll continue to be tracking this out, but what you need to know is our rainfall coverage really starts to go up. We've got some isolated activity already happening now as we speak on this Tuesday, but our rainfall chances go up as a line of thunderstorms starts to make its way into South Texas on Wednesday morning. So the timeline specifically for Corpus Christi is about 5 a.m. to noon, the entire Coastal Bend. We could put it closer to 2 a.m. For areas off to the west. So here's what we're looking at now. This is the current radar imagery where we do have some isolated storms that are trying to develop turn north. This is actually on the outflow boundary from storms that happened overnight last night. They weakened as they made it toward Houston with some sunlight. They're trying to get a little bit more energy going on. But this is going to play a role in stabilizing our atmosphere a little bit. If this line moves all the way through, if this line stays, so kind of the outflow boundary essentially just kind of hovers or drifts back to the north a little bit with the help of our onshore wind, we may wind up with the outflow boundary in the Coastal Bend, which would help storms develop or stay going as we head into tomorrow morning. So there's a lot of caveats to this forecast, and that's what makes it a really difficult one. Is it's not a guarantee by any means, and all levels of the atmosphere have to kind of line up just perfectly for us to get our best case thunderstorm scenario, bringing us the heavy rainfall and so forth. So you can see Futurecast not really showing the exact same thing. That was our current radar. The red you're seeing behind the radar, that is CAPE, so that is heat essentially, that is creating convective available potential energy that can then be used for thunderstorms if the other right ingredients are in play. So what we see here on Futurecast, again, not lining up exactly like the model, but you do see a line of thunderstorms moving in overnight. Now, what might happen is the thunderstorms become downdraft dominant before they make it to the Coastal Bend. If that happens, then we would get an outflow boundary to move into our very unstable environment. When we have a lot of heat, we have a lot of energy, storms will want to be in the Coastal Bend. If that outflow boundary moves into our area, especially if it's timed any later than 5 a.m. I'm a little worried about this specific forecast playing out because it's before the sun comes up. But especially as we're getting in the 5 o'clock hour, but as the sun starts to come up, which sunrise is just around 6:30, that's when our storm chances, or the thunderstorms, may be able to grow a little bit stronger, is with the help of the sunlight. But in this scenario, we get the outflow boundary, and then we get new thunderstorm development on the outflow boundary. And so with that being said, it is very contingent on a lot of factors playing out, but additionally, we could see a squall line move through, or we could see the outflow boundary from the squall line then help produce new thunderstorms. So two scenarios playing out. This specific scenario pointing more toward a higher guarantee of rainfall for the valley, but even there, becoming downdraft dominant before it gets to areas like Brownsville, and then missing out on a lot of the rainfall. So this model then does not show a line of storms making it into the coastal bend by Thursday morning. We may be too stable behind round one on Wednesday, but you do see our heat is back in play, and there are some thunderstorms to our north. So it's very dependent not only on what's happening at the surface, but also what's happening in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And so for your weather impact, obviously today we know it's extra hot. We're looking, though, at caution for the morning commute on Wednesday and Thursday. High-end rainfall totals would be 2 inches. The storms to our north today were producing rainfall rates of about 1 inch in 15 minutes. So if that stayed parked over the same area for a whole hour, that would wind up being 4 inches of rainfall. So these storms have a lot of oomph, but will they make it to us? That is the big question mark and what's making this forecast so difficult. So what we see happening is there is a stationary boundary that is slowly going to drift a little bit more south, which will boost our storm chances. Where we will be watching, specifically during the 5 and 6 o'clock news later on tonight, I will not be here, but Chief Meteorologist Alan Holt will. He will show you where those storms are in the Big Bend area. How those storms form, what they look like heading into this evening, will let us know what we could be anticipating by the time they get here into tomorrow morning. So if that front stays a little bit further south, what might happen is the storms actually could split. If the upper level energy takes it further south into Mexico, and then the storms stay along the boundary, we might wind up in this weird gap where we don't see much activity until the sun comes up and helps with our convective available potential energy. With some outflow boundaries in play, we may get some scattered storm development. So this is a different scenario playing out, but overall, it does look like we've got a pretty decent chance of storms. This particular model more into Thursday morning, and that does show signs of agreement with our upper level energy that we also have in play, which I apparently didn't put in this live update, but you can watch it on KIIITV.com. The forecast that is posted there, if you click the weather tab, will have an update that does include the vorticity, the upper level energy, and the role that plays as well. A lot of signs indicating we have a little bit more of that vorticity on Thursday morning than Wednesday morning, which could have us with a squall line like scenario number 2 plays out. But regardless, overall, I think we have about a 50% chance of rain on Wednesday, a 70% based on the latest data on Thursday. Now this could flip-flop. If our storms are stronger than anticipated on Wednesday, we could wind up with less rainfall on Thursday. So keep that in mind. Now we will stay unsettled because that upper level low is going to hang out in the area. We could still see some waves or shortwave troughs coming around the edge of that low into the coastal bend, even into the weekend. But right now, the best time frame for the storms is going to be Wednesday morning between 3 a.m. and noon, and then again, potentially a similar situation on Thursday morning. We'll come back tomorrow with any live updates, especially if the weather gets strong to severe. We will be live when we can on 3 News Plus. So you see this right back here? You can watch it for free by downloading the app on your Roku, Fire TV, or Apple TV. Absolutely free to download, and that's one way to watch 3 News anytime you want. That's outside of our normal news hours of First Edition, 5 to 7 a.m., and additionally, outside of our evening broadcast. So hopefully you have that downloaded and you tune in. Thank you everyone for joining this live update. We also have it's not a weather app, but it has weather on it. So it's a great tool to have, the KIII TV app. You can just put /app at the end of KIIITV.com, and that's the way you can download it on your phone to get weather alerts or news alerts as well. So great tool to have, especially with the chance of some pop-up storms or even some strong to severe storms. The Storm Prediction Center does have us with a marginal risk of strong to severe weather, so this app has all the information you need. Thanks again for watching. I'm meteorologist Carly Smith, signing off.